Little Jane, Sunday queen, with a secret she couldn't keep. Tobacco smoke in her lungs, living life on the edge she saw. In the pew, she wore a mask, hiding her addiction from the past. But one day, a secret unveiled when her pit toilet.
Once upon a time, the lush, vibrant lands of Jamaica, in a small district located on the plains of St. Elizabeth, near the Black River, lived a spirited lady named Little Jean. Every Sunday, Little Jean adorned herself in the finest garments, her attire a brilliant tapestry of colors as rich and deep as the Jamaican soil. She was a woman that could dress in her Sunday's best. Her wide-brimmed hat was a crown, casting a regal shadow over her eyes as she took her customary front row seat at the local church. Once there, the church came alive. Little Jean was a spiritual beacon in her community, her voice raising in hymns with a vigor that seemed to have drawn the Holy Spirit among the congregation. When she sang the version of Amazing Grace, a sinner would come crawling to the altar. She was in tune with the word. For example, when the pastor would say, "Clothe yourself in grace and righteousness," his words would echo a fiery dance, and she would start dancing in admonition of her faith. And she would sway and utter words that others did not understand. She was consumed by the Holy Spirit. This was greeted with other ladies running to grab sheets to cover her as she rolled along the church aisle. Yet, like the mystery of the depths of the Blue Mountain, Little Jean harbored a secret that contrasts sharply with her sanctified Sundays. Hidden beneath the layer of her Sunday's best was an affection for tobacco, a habit that she had indulged in for a long time. She had got the habit in the early days when her father planted tobacco. Before stepping out to church, however, she would clothe herself in the mist of perfume, masking the lingering scent of smoke that clinged stubbornly to her clothes throughout the house. Her routine was precise and unchanging. Waking up early on a Sunday morning, Little Jean would prepare her healthy Jamaican breakfast. Ackee and saltfish and roasted breadfruit, its aroma filling the humble board where she stayed. She'd seasoned her meat overnight, ensuring that everything was perfectly marinated for her return from Sunday service. Because sometimes the service, when the Spirit led, continued into the afternoon. These Sunday meals, when she was done, was a feast. It was a ritual and a sacred one for her, just like her Sunday morning service. But life, as it often does, spun a surprise one fateful day. Or let me say, a fateful Sunday. Little Jean had to return home early from church as her youngest child was not feeling well. She settled the child in the home and, of course, sapped kalanga water on the child. This is an alcoholic substance that once thought to be very good for fever and any ailment if the child was not feeling well. The child felt a little better and, of course, went to sleep. With the house being quiet, she felt a bit unsettled by the morning's rush towards the afternoon. So she succumbed to an urge to get a quick tobacco respite. She went outside to the pit toilet, and of course this pit toilet was near the home. This was a place that she did her thing because she said no one would find out. Some neighbors suspected that she was a smoker but did not cross her pathway, as she always gave them the most delicious pot roast from time to time. However, that day, as the smoke curdled upwards, mingling with the lazy afternoon sunbeams, it formed a visible shadow above her backyard. This shadow seemed to have been a mask for what was yet to be uncovered. Unknowns to her, that day Reverend James, a man devoted to his flock, who was concerned that members had to leave early, was about to give her a check. So after church, which lasted a bit longer, he went down the hill to pay an unexpected visit to the little Jean. He stopped by the house. He knocked at the wooden gate for several times, but no one answered. He called again. As little Jean began to puff away, she began to hear the Reverend's voice. She wondered if she was hearing correctly. She heard it again. She hurriedly put the tobacco away and, of course, near the toilet seat, and hurried up, freshening up herself, of course, before leaving. She opened the gate and ushered the Reverend onto the veranda. Her words trembling as she echoed them. She was a bit nervous. While she was talking to the Reverend, the fire started in the pit toilet. Their conversation stretched on as the fire grew, and of course no one noticed this at this point in time. The Reverend wanted to stay a bit longer because he was hungry, so he was trying to delay the process to ensure the pot was landed. So he started to tell her about the children. Yes, the children are the future. Her children are the future. And he mentioned how Jesus took the children on that day and he spoke to them. The lecture continued until someone said, "Fire! Fire burn down Miss Jane toilet pit." The flames flickered in disobedience, roaring with authority, consuming the toilet pit and threatening the home. The village rallied with buckets of water in hand, a chorus of urgency under the Jamaican hot sun. Despite their effort, the damage was already done. Little Jane's sanctuary, her toilet, was reduced to ashes. In the aftermath, the community cleared up the debris. Reverend James stood by little Jane. His voice soft. He said, "Every trial is a lesson, Sister Jane. What has this taught you?" he asked, his voice soft, as the ash was swept away by the breeze. Little Jean, her eyes mirroring the loss and resolve, nodded slowly. "To own up to my truths, Reverend, to not let my secrets burn the foundation I built." From that day, little Jane embraced her faults openly. Her Sunday services were more filled with righteousness and a commitment to follow the Creator. Yes, she had found new honesty. She had understood the need to rebuild more connection with her community because they had saved her. She often said that if she had known, she would not have ventured into that pit toilet with her tobacco. And the lesson was woven into her brain that at times you have to be honest with yourself and others. As someone said, whatever is in darkness will come out to light, and we have to face the reality. Always remember, something suddenly can change your lives, and we have to reflect. Remember to like and subscribe.
Little Jane, Sunday queen, with a secret she couldn't keep. Tobacco smoke in her lungs, living life on the edge she saw. In the pew she wore a mask, hiding her addiction from the past. But one day her secret unveiled when her pit toilet went up in flames. Little Jean, the Sunday queen, the secret burns, the truth now seen in the Caribbean. A scandal unfolds, reggae rhythms echo, the story told. Little Jean, the Sunday queen, the secret burns, the truth now seen in the Caribbean. A scandal unfolds, reggae rhythms echo, the story told. secret burns, the truth now seen in the Caribbean.